What's up, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Iron Maiden, back with another tune from their Powerslave album, and in fact, we're back with the title tune, Powerslave. My understanding is this is written by Bruce Dickinson. I did want to react to a tune by him because it occurs to me I've done several Iron Maiden reactions where I've mentioned, oh, this is written by Steve Harris and the songwriting is so amazing. It absolutely is. I reacted to, Wasted Years, a great song by Adrian Smith. But it occurred to me, I think I've reacted to one or two that were written in part by Dickinson, but I believe this one is a solo Dickinson song, so it just occurred to me I wanted to do it for that reason alone. I should also mention that, it's about ancient Egypt. I think it's sort of like a speculative fiction, a sort of like, a non-named pharaoh, but the song and the sort of imagery behind it absolutely does give the inspiration behind the artwork for the album, and I always love Eddie at the center of the ancient pyramid. Absolutely fantastic. Shout out to the artwork and the CD once again. But yeah, as far as I can tell, the song is about a pharaoh who's coming to the end of his health and the end of his mortal life. And ultimately, in the ancient Egyptian pharaonic times, pharaohs were considered literally living gods, and I think this pharaoh is understanding, he knows that on some level he is not immortal and he is going to die, but he's been living this lie. He doesn't want to die, and he's sort of trying to cope with the fact that, this persona that he has embodied and, sort of using his power and making people, kneel before him. It's been part of this idea that he is indeed a deity, and then now as he gets to the end, he's aware that it's not really true. So I think it's on some level a pharaoh in his mind trying to come to terms with the inescapability of death and how that actually contradicts sort of the life and the lie that he's been living. So yeah, I don't remember if there's more, if it's a narrative in terms of things happen in a chronological sense during the song. I think we're mostly in the pharaoh's head and he's just trying to again come to grips with the increasingly apparent reality that he is going to die, and that will in fact disprove the suggestion that he is this immortal and infinitely powerful being. So let me know if someone has a different interpretation, or at least a more detailed interpretation, but like I said, that's sort of where I understood this, just that we're inside the head of a pharaoh where things are a lot more realistic and frank than his behavior has been toward his subjects out in the world. So anyway, here we go. This is Iron Maiden Powerslave from 1984. Shout out to the cats on the front artwork. Very notable riff, right? He's like a slave to his own power. clear, or he's being more honest with himself. Like, I'm gonna die. You know what? The guy that's gonna take over and be the next eternal god, he's gonna die too. It's a very interesting concept, like a ruler of supposedly infinite power and like absolute subjugation, being a slave to that very power. This is the kind of stuff when I was doing my initial deep dive through Iron Maiden, where I was like, what? Like every song we had this crazy like interlude where they changed tempos and like solos and like, it's like the me of now is like, yep, and you're just getting started, like. That's groovy as all hell. Almost like psychedelic rock vibes, and then right when I was going to comment on that, it's like, nope, let's fucking go. Their Castlevania sound creeping in right here. Sometimes Steve Harris on the bass, it just stands out. Like the guys are shredding the axes, but he's back there laying the foundation the whole time. Shout out to McBrain. It's just their musical command, like their tempo changes and just the overall song chronology, just mastery. I love that riff. Slave to the power of death. It's like the song talks about power in so many different contexts there, like subjugating the subjects of Egypt and then being a slave to your own power, but then ultimately being a slave to the most unstoppable power of all, mortality, death. Amazing. Yeah, that song was even actually more incredible than I remembered it. Number one, it was a little longer than I remembered. There were a couple more tempo changes than I remembered. And like I said, I remembered certain aspects of the lyrics, but that sort of the ultimate, like, being powerless in the face of death is, you know, the final twist of understanding of the concept of power that I had sort of like forgotten. Again, I remember that he felt like, you know, he couldn't avoid death, the implacable nature of it, but it's the death that power has over us all is essentially the point, like whether you're a pharaoh or a commoner who has to go down to his knees. So yeah, that's just amazing. Love the song, and you know, there was a riff in there that really did capture that kind of, at least like stereotypical sort of ancient Egyptian sort of musical sound. So yeah, even just in terms of like musically expressing the visual imagery, it's a great job. And as I mentioned, that like riff, that kind of heavy, like dark riff, and the sort of interlude of the chorus. I really like that. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if you're fond of that one. I did mention, or I did want to react to a song by Bruce, because like I said, I've been doing a lot by Steve Harris and a couple of other guys. So there was one I did where it was Harris and Gers had written together. So yeah, wanted to do a Dickinson song. Let me know if there's another one that you'd like me to react to. Like I said, the people who have been watching these Maiden reactions, big shout out to you. Really appreciate you. And some of you had some great suggestions about songs, and others of you have commented, you know, your own thoughts about the songs, or just that you appreciate the way I try to talk about the lyrics rather than just vibing with the music. I do try to do both, but yeah, I absolutely appreciate that some people, you know, have like that, and you know, appreciated that I take the time to do it. So shout out to all you. Let me know if there's another song you'd like to hear me react to. Other than that, thank you for listening. Have a good day. Have a good night. I'll see you next time. Peace.